Hey there. I just wanted to share a testimony about Price Action Labs and Sandeep and how he's helping me. I did.
Can everyone hear what James was saying there? That's not me speaking, that's James. Can everyone hear that? Warren, you've all said yes. Okay, just going to continue to play this.
Forex for about 5 years and learned a bunch about price action and technical analysis and patterns. And I rage quit for about 10 years and now back in futures. Was looking for a coach, somebody to kind of clear my head and lead me in the right direction with a proven strategy. He's been my coach now for about 2 months. The first week was the best week I'd ever had in trading. I was a data analyst for 6 years, so more data, more confirmation, more visualization, more am I doing the right thing? And Sandeep, he outperforms me every day. The simplicity of his plan, what he does, the knowledge he brings, he shows me every day that I overcomplicate it. It's not about confirmation. It's not about predicting. It's not about strategy that I brought from my past. It's just about listening, understanding his plan, and then just as simple as it is, just follow it. Sandeep, my hat goes off to you, man. I appreciate it, and I look for better trading ahead. Thanks.
I want to massively improve as a trader, Sandeep's your man. So I was very inconsistent. I was trading 15 different strategies, and through one-to-ones and through stuff that Sandeep sends me, I was able to learn if I keep it simple and use all the flow to find out who's in control, who's not in control. It changed the game. So I'm having a lot of success now. I'm very consistent. I'm more patient. I'm a more well-rounded trader. I know when to trade, when not to trade. It's helped me massively. So big thumbs up to Sandeep. I'd highly recommend him.
I wanted to give endorsement and recommend Price Action Labs order flow methodology, and particularly the mentorship and tutoring that Sandeep is offering. He is very keen and sharp with his approach and framework of analysis. He's very passionate about what he's doing, goes the extra effort to understand each trader, where your psychology is, where your limitations are, and what you're trying to achieve with the markets, and he's going to help you work towards your goal. I've worked with him for a couple of weeks now, and already I've seen improvement in my own consistency and focus to approaching the markets each day, and I attribute that to his framework and his teaching methods. He has an infectious energy and enthusiasm that keeps you engaged. The material is very well presented, very concise, and very detailed to understand order flow and order flow analysis. A lot of veteran traders will tell you that the only thing that matters in the markets is price and price action, and his methodology is going to help you follow price and understand.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to start that again. It's going to be a very quick video. It won't be long.
Hey there. I just wanted to share a testimony about Price Action Labs and Sandeep and how he's helped the analyst for 6 years. So the simplicity of his plan, what he does, the knowledge he brings, he shows me every day that I overcomplicate it. It's not about confirmation. It's not about predicting. It's not about strategy that I brought from my past. It's just about listening, understanding his plan, and then just as simple as it is, just follow it. Sandeep, my hat goes off to you, man. I appreciate it, and I look for better trading ahead. Thanks.
I want to massively improve as a trader, Sandeep's your man. So I was very inconsistent. I was trading 15 different strategies, and through one-to-ones and through stuff that Sandeep sends me, I was able to learn if I keep it simple and use all the flow to find out who's in control, who's not in control. It changed the game. So I'm having a lot of success now. I'm very consistent. I'm more patient. I'm a more well-rounded trader. I know when to trade, when not to trade. It's helped me massively. So big thumbs up to Sandeep. I'd highly recommend him.
I wanted to give endorsement and recommend Price Action Labs order flow methodology, and particularly the mentorship and tutoring that Sandeep is offering. He is very keen and sharp with his approach and framework of analysis. He's very passionate about what he's doing, goes the extra effort to understand each trader, where your psychology is, where your limitations are, and what you're trying to achieve with the markets, and he's going to help you work towards your goal. I've worked with him for a couple of weeks now, and already I've seen improvement in my own consistency and focus to approaching the markets each day, and I attribute that to his framework and his teaching methods. He has an infectious energy and enthusiasm that keeps you engaged. The material is very well presented, very concise, and very detailed to understand order flow and order flow analysis. A lot of veteran traders will tell you that the only thing that matters in the markets is price and price action, and his methodology is going to help you follow price and understand price action.
Before I met Sandeep, I was already trying to learn how to trade, but I didn't have like a proper method or a system, so I was basically gambling. Thanks to his mentorship, I learned a lot, and he gave me a good system to follow, and especially with order flow, these one-on-one sessions really helped me understand how to move.
Today I would like to share my experience about the mentorship program with Sandeep. The way he teaches all the basics and with so much of patience is really very impressive. My confidence levels really boosted after this 2 weeks mentorship program. Whoever joins, they will really improve within a very short period of time. I highly recommend his program, who will definitely be a consistency profitable trader for sure, whoever joins this program. Thank you so much.
Right. Just wanted to sort of just start with on a lighter note, if that makes sense. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. No, it's absolutely fine. You don't have to apologize for any accent. Welcome, everyone, to the Price Action Labs Premium Footprint Execution Process. Okay, so what we're going to be going through now is the following. Now, I like to keep these presentations as interactive as possible. So during multiple times throughout this presentation, there are going to be opportunities for you to grab and download free materials. There's going to be opportunities for you to use the chat and speak with me and other people in the presentation. And they're going to be opportunities for you to kind of speak to me directly. Okay. So really excited to get going. So let's just begin. And the first question is all about being as interactive as possible, right? So I'm going to start the presentation by asking you a question, and I want all of you to use the chat as much as you can, right? So ask yourself this question. All right. Ask yourself this: what if 60 minutes per day, 3 to 5 days a week, you could generate an additional $500 to $1,000 per day in consistent profits? Okay, using that 60-minute per day time window. All right, just imagine that 60 minutes per day, you could generate even an additional $200 a day, right? Or per setup, should I say? Okay, now type yes in the chat if that's something you want to master in 2026, or even at the end of this presentation. Just type yes, type capital yes if you're big on the process, right? And type no if you're not interested, right? I'm happy either way. Type yes if that's something you're interested in. All of you said yes, which is fantastic. Absolutely yes, yes, yes. Okay. Now, by the end of this presentation, I'm going to give you a framework that will let you do that. Okay. Now, the next question I have for you is this. If the only thing separating you from that 60-minute per day trading window and full-time freedom was mastering only 3 confluences in one system, 3 confluences in one system, okay? Type freedom in the chat if you're going to stay all the way to the end and master this, right? All the way till the end. We'll be done at 7 p.m. Eastern, roughly, in the next 45 minutes or so. So midnight for me here in the UK, right? Type freedom, right? Howard included the exclamation mark, so he's here all the way till the end, I'm guessing, and more. Type freedom in the chats, or if you're not interested, type boredom, right? Type boredom. But everyone here is typing freedom, which is fantastic. Okay, so let's break this down. So to anyone who said freedom, this is what I'm going to introduce you to today. So this is a flow state. Okay, so flow state, the way that I built flow state is it represents what I call the trader's terminal. Okay, I want you to imagine this. Imagine this for me, everyone. You're going to a new destination. You're flying from, let's say, London Heathrow, right? And you're going to fly all the way to Brazil. What you need to have the right ticket, the right time. And in Heathrow, we call them terminals. You want to fly from the right terminal. So in other words, you need to know where you're going from, at what time, and you need to have the right ticket. Now, when you enter flow state, you're going to enter what I call the trader's terminal, which gives you price, plan, and proof. In other words, what price are you going to trade from? What plan are you going to follow for that day? And most importantly, with order flow, why are you following that plan, right? Where is the proof behind that plan? And when you enter the trader's terminal, you will know exactly where you're going, at what time, and in what direction. Okay, that's where we're heading to. And so that's our quote unquote destination. We're just about to take off now. All right. Now, the plane or the vehicle that we use to do that is otherwise known as the premium footprint execution process. Okay. Now, these are screenshots taken from FlowState. Okay. These are FlowState based systems, right? This is something which I've spent the last many hours, right, building the premium footprint execution process and building the software behind it. So how does it work? Okay. So FlowState will do a lot of the analysis for you. It's going to do what I call the read method. So some of you may have come across the read method if you work with me directly, but if you haven't, it's okay. Okay. Because the read method is essentially how key levels work. So I know all of you have used support and resistance, supply and demand. Some of you have come from the ICT background, the smart money concepts background. You've all come from somewhat similar, but also very different backgrounds. And the reason this is so fascinating to me as someone who's behind FlowState is that I can see the data that people used to trade. So in other words, I've spoken to traders from ICT, from smart money concepts, from support and resistance, from supply and demand, from trend lines, from even indicators. And all of it comes down to what you see on your screen, because you can take any process, any system, any strategy. What you want to do is you want to put order flow on top, right? And that is what FlowState will do. FlowState will take your strategy. It will apply the read process to the charts, and it will then give you the footprint charts for that area. So there's no way you can go wrong when you're looking inside of candles, or there's no way you can go wrong when you're reading what the market's doing and then reacting, as opposed to predicting and then therefore guessing and gambling. Okay. So Howard says it's not a question of if I buy the FlowState OS, it's a question of when. Well, you'll be pleased to know that this FlowState OS is not at all expensive. You'll be pleased to know that, right? You'll be pleased to know that. Okay. So here's something. I will personally guide you until you master the entire process in about 5 days, right? So it's not about the theory or pre-recorded modules or anything like that. It basically comes down to hands-on work. Okay. So it's understanding that it's a process and it's a matter of days before you apply it consistently. Okay. That's where we want to be by the end of this. Okay. So how do we do it? How do we do it? So the first thing to do, not to get too doom and gloom, but we want to try and understand what was the motivation behind building the software, or what was the motivation behind it. And so I had to be honest with my former self, right? And here's some questions which I want you to consider, right? The situation or the situational models right now, which prevent you from getting to where you want to get to. So here's an example. Okay. So you have a really good understanding of SNR zones, but you struggle to use them when you look at futures in the New York session. Okay, so this is one problem I often see. All right, here, this is one sort of agitation that I often see. So SNR or S&D zones, you find difficult to sort of map. And that's one thing that FlowState will do. FlowState will remove the difficulties you have to finding these zones. Okay, the next thing is you want to use order flow, but it looks complicated, right? What do all the numbers mean? What do all the colors mean? Do I have to read every number? Absolutely not. Where do I use it? Why do I use it? Do I have to use it? Okay. By the end of this presentation, if you stick around for the read engine, you will know exactly how to answer for yourself all those questions. All right. Now, the next problem I see is that you try to find levels. Okay. Let's just go back a slide. You try to find key levels. Some work and some don't work. So it almost feels like hit and miss, right? And this is one of the worst feelings when you get caught in trades that look something like that. You know, your direction is right, your timing's right, you plan the entire session, you got your indicators, your tools, you watch the videos, and still it feels like something is hit and miss, right? Either your level was off, your read of price was off, or maybe both. Okay, analysis paralysis, perfection, whatever the problem is, FlowState will remove that from your trading. Okay. And last but not least, do you find yourself closing positions early through fear of loss and then they go green? This used to happen to me a lot. So I would close a green trade and it would not go red on me. It would actually go green, but I would never capitalize on that position. So this is why I've built Flow State. So I want you to just empathize with me for a second, right? Or empathize with yourself. Have you been through any of these problems, right? Have you been through any of these problems? Just type yes in the chat if you've been through any of these problems right now. Whether you're struggling with SNR zones, order flow looks a bit complicated, finding your level seems hit and miss, or you're just closing trades through emotion. Have you ever been through any of these problems? Just type yes in the chat. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop. Yes, because that's definitely been me. And if nobody says yes to this probably means that, you know, maybe Flow State shouldn't be built. But a lot of people here are saying yes, which is fine. Absolutely, I'm getting confident with market levels. Asaya, you absolutely are. You absolutely are. So, yeah. Now, how are we going to turn this around? Or let's flip the script for a second, right? Let's completely flip the script. At the end of this presentation, where do you want to be? Okay, so where do you want to be? You want to be in a position where you have the market tell you what it wants to do. So think of it this way. I want you to almost use this slide to flip your paradigm. Okay, flip the script, flip the paradigm. I want you to. I'm stop sharing my screen for a second. I beg your pardon there. Let me just get it back up. Yeah. Let me just get it back up. Perfect. So I want us to flip the script for a second and think, if you could have the market tell you what it wants to do using these fancy candles over here, which I've got behind me. If you look at my screen, these fancy candles here. If you had the market telling you what to do, that would make your trading way easier, because instead of guessing and gambling, you're predicting. Sorry, instead of predicting and guessing and gambling, you're simply reacting and reading. Okay? That's the first thing. Now, imagine you had a tool in your pocket that never fails to get it wrong, right? Where are the buyers sitting? Where are the sellers sitting? No matter what price you enter in, you will always have a way to know where buyers are, where sellers are. So you have no excuse to blame your psychology now, because the market's now told you, Flow State's now told you where the buyers are, where the sellers are. So you should have infinitely more, or an infinite amount more of confidence in your levels. At the end of this presentation, you will. And the last thing, I've got these two boxes here. You want to have the patience to sit on your hands, but then at the same time, you want to have the conviction to strike when your setup appears. And so you've got patience on the left and you've got conviction on the right. And both of these are in a spiral like this, because you've got to be patient enough to then wait for the right move. And when the right move comes, you've got to get in and out and then go back to being patient. So this is very much like a perpetual cycle. Okay? You've got to have the patience and then you've got to have the conviction. Then the patience and the conviction. So think of it this way. If you don't have either of these two things and you're not patient to sit on your hands, you will take trade after trade after trade, and you will burn proper count after proper count after proper count, and you'll pay for reset after reset after reset. Now, if you don't have patience, that will be the reality. But once you built that patience, and again, I define patience as knowing what to look for and behaving correctly in the interval. So there's no point being patient and quote unquote behaving correctly in the interval if you don't know what you're waiting for, because patience is only as good as what you're waiting for. But once you know what you're waiting for, you have more confidence. And then that confidence allows you to execute with conviction. And that conviction makes you stronger mentally to wait for it again. So your patience gets better. Then when you're more patient to wait for the right thing and it plays out more, you get conviction. And so this is the cycle. This is the perpetual cycle that I want you to all go on. I understand how you win a lot of your trades, but what I don't understand is how you don't win nearly all of your trades. Well, that's a very good question. So why don't I win all my trades? It's not because the order flow is wrong, because again, candles cannot be wrong because it's literally the market data. I do not win all my trades, or I certainly take a lot of break-evens, because I cannot always predict when chop is going to happen. I cannot predict certainly a Donald Trump tweet. So if you're in the US, your president, I've lost a couple of trades because of your president. So, that's more of a you problem than me problem over here on this side of the pond. So Trump, again, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming anyone. You cannot blame anyone for losing. Right? One of the things I can't stand is when people blame other people for losing. Oh, it was a Trump tweet. Oh, it was the tariffs. Oh, it was my internet connection or whatever it is, right? I lose trades because I have a bad reader price, or that day I wasn't optimal, or that day I got caught in chop or something like that, right? So I don't win. I don't have, 100% win rate, but the flow state helps you have 100% execution skills, which is different. Can I see GC with these? Is GC gold? Is that gold futures? Yes, you can. What we're doing is we're starting with ES and NQ, and we're building the software up for ES, NQ, YM, and GC as well, because I know gold is very popular. I don't trade gold myself because I lost $17,000 in my first 2 to 3 years, and out of that $17,000, $10,000 of it, more than half came from gold. So yeah, I've not touched gold in many years, but I understand why people do. I invest in it. I don't trade it. One time he said something and it turned my loser into winner. Literally just a random remark he made at 10 a.m. GC and MGC are very tricky. Yeah, if that's gold, I think GC is gold futures. Pretty damn tricky. Just stick to ES and NQ, make money. Just simple as that. Okay, let's get into it. So what's next? Good question, everyone. So we're going to try and keep this interactive. So thank you for, helping me. So I want flow state to be your best friend, and flow state will be your best friend because this is how it works. Okay. It will give you the level to trade from. It will tell you why it's a level, and it will tell you how to behave at that level. So if this is your key level, which I've marked out as 5 here, or flow state has taken a screenshot of my chart, it's marked it out as 5. It's then told you why it's a level. So I don't want to get too technical as to why this is a level, but for those who understand order flow, we'll be able to see aggressive sellers break higher. Aggressive sellers break higher. So when you trade with market orders, you move away from guessing and therefore gambling to reading and reacting. And that's what you want to do. Or that's sort of the direction I want all of you to be in at the end of the presentation. And we do that using my favorite image of the entire presentation, if I say so myself. It's the premium footprint execution process. So this is where we use the 4 Ps to essentially trade. And so the underlying software or the underlying principle behind flow state is essentially good positioning, good read of price, good proof, and good precision. Okay, this is how flow state is engineered. So what's Howard said? Yes, Sandeep, I said nearly all of your trades, but not all of your trades, but 85% win rate on 1-to-1, very impressive. Yeah, absolutely. So when you have a 1-to-1 or 1-to-1.5, you're able to have a much higher win rate, typically 65, 70, 75, even 80%, right? So having a lower risk reward will naturally give you a higher win rate, because how many 1 to 10 hour trades have you seen? Not many. So your win rate is going to your win rate's gonna have to go down. Now, where you fall on this spectrum is typically a personality thing, right? I prefer higher win rates, and therefore lower risk rewards. Some people will prefer lower risk rewards and higher win rates. Totally up to you. Flow state accommodates for everyone. Okay. So let's now continue to keep going. So why does this matter now? Okay. Why have I built flow state now? And why do I want all of you to invest, at least mentally, into the system? Now, the reason why is because, well, think about this, right? This is the first generation where we're actually able to learn order flow. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, traders from the 80s and 90s, a lot older than me, and they were trading in the pits, and their generation was so different. They had to go to the pit, and they had to see the orders, and they had to see someone raise their hand, and there was so much noise in the pit, and they had to go all the way down. I cannot imagine trading in that world, right? But you don't have to anymore, because this is the first generation where we're able to see real-time institutional orders behind a comfy screen at home. This is the first time we're able to do that. Okay, using simple software, the ATES platform, Sierra charts, it doesn't matter what you use, we're able to see those orders. Okay, another thing is the read method will take away years of manual guesswork and gloom, and annoyance. Okay, because flow state will perform the read for you. Now, flow state will not replace you as a trader. You're still going to have to use your discretion to click buy and sell. But what flow state does is it massively speeds up the process and does it more accurately for you. So read stands for recognize, evaluate, assess, and detect. So imagine you place your chart into flow state, into a certain level at any given time. Flow state will read your level for you and tell you, should you be going long, should you be going short. Now, this is not about signals. It's not about being lazy. It's not about skipping the process or not learning how order flow works. This is your step. This is your side-by-side tool to really speed up your learning journey and bring you closer to being an order flow institutional style trader. All right. Now, next thing is, I know a lot of traders here trade funded accounts, and so funded accounts are an amazing opportunity. So you've got prop firms that allow you to have constant discounted accounts for up to 300 grand. Like, I remember back in the day, FTMO, they used to do $75,000 accounts, maybe $100,000. I think the highest one now was $200,000 back then. Now, I've seen people go for $300,000 and they get their hands on it in a couple of weeks. The buying power of $300,000. Now, flow state is pretty much designed for you to trade both prop and personal. Okay, how flow state will do that is it will tell you where your levels are, give you massive confidence of where your levels should be, where to enter, where to exit, where to put your stop loss, and it will calculate your risk to reward for you. Are you at supply? Are you at demand? Right? Which account, based on the account you're using, how much risk should you put on? 1R, 2R, entries, exits. Flow state will be your best friend throughout everything. Okay. So I don't want you to just take my word for it, right? So I've had a few people go through the order flow training. I've also given some introduction and some briefs to flow state. And so this is what people have to say about it, right? So we had one person saying, I've taken out the names for obvious reasons. So it gave me a great mechanical system where I can execute trades repeatedly with so much confidence. I'm ready to understand the whole framework in its entirety to be able to understand the method and understand the process program you put together. And I will. It's really good. I need to put some time into the app daily. And that's the most important thing, daily, right? You're not going to use flow state once and become a master. No, flow state will prompt you to perform the same overall habits over and over and over again so that you become confident on how to execute, read order flow, and then hopefully profit from it. Okay, we had some pretty crazy results. Absolutely brilliant. This time, hopefully, be able to do the analysis independently as well. That's very important. You want to be doing it independently. You don't want to be relying on any software or anything. You want to understand the theory behind it. This is a very helpful breakdown, especially to use a typical setup where new price range forms, and it stops you from over trading as well. Because if flow state tells you where buyers and sellers are sitting, me and you have no business in breaking those rules. Okay. And so another student of mine said, I was so impressed with the capabilities you demonstrated on the Flow State app. It appears that the app generates levels and also allows you to zoom in and look at footprint charts. Does the app need to be connected to ATAS or Rhythmic? That's a very good question. The answer is no. Because the way that we in the team have engineered Flow State is you only need to upload a chart and the time that you're interested in trading in, and maybe the price. So it's all about you input time and price. Flow state will give you whether it's a level, why it's a level, and what you want to do with that level. All right. I can't think of a tool that's more revolutionizing. Okay. If I say so myself. And so the next question is, what system do I teach? Or what system does this rely on you understanding? Okay. The system comes down to 4 Ps. Okay, so those 4 Ps come down to the following, okay? You've got your premium footprint execution process. So I speak about the premium footprint execution process in a lot of detail because the premium footprint execution process is how to trade. Flow state is just your partner. So we focus on good trade positioning. We then focus on reading price. So what does positioning stand for? Let me not jump the gun. Positioning is about identifying your key levels. Okay, so when you look at a chart that looks something like, if I go all the way back, when you look at a chart that looks something like this, you need to understand how these key levels come from. There is a 4-step process that we follow each and every single day. That's what we call positioning, right? Think of positioning as your table. If your table is wobbly and it's unstable, your trade is never really going to be stable. So you've got to have good trade positioning. Next is about price. So how I've essentially built today's presentation is to give this away for free. All right, I'm going to give this away for free. So what I've done is when it comes to price, I get a lot of questions about how to trade price, and more importantly, how can you use order flow to your advantage? So what I've done is I've put together a free guide that I want all of you to download now. This is a completely free guide. Okay, this guide is completely free and it doesn't have any strings attached. I want all of you to download it now as we speak. Okay, So I'm just going to drop the link for that now. This needs to be this is completely complimentary within the presentation. So I'm just going to drop that now so that you all can have access to it. Give me a second to do that. Just give me a second. Okay, we'll look to do that now. Have I got access to this? No, I've not. So my goal, I will upload this towards the end of the actual presentation. Bear with me. I'm so sorry for that. Next, we have proof. Okay, so what does proof actually mean? So in the sense of order flow, proof essentially comes down to one thing. Proof is about understanding where the buyers and sellers are sitting, right? So just going to go back to here. Proof is about understanding, are buyers in control? Are sellers in control? And this is very important. And so this is where I use the trap trading framework to help me do this, right? TRAP, trader reactions at price. So once you have your level and you understand how to read price in that level, you then want to trap the main message. You want to read those trader reactions at price, and it's got to tell you, are buyers in control? Are sellers in control? And the final thing is precision. So once you have good positioning, good price, good proof, you then want to put together a precise entry model that you can rely on every day. Okay, I call that the Bolt breakout blueprint. Some of you may have heard of that. Okay, and all of that is packaged into flow state. Okay, now specifically, it's the 4-step positioning process, right? So it's all about understanding positioning, price, proof, and precision, right? These are the only 4 P's you need to master trading price. All right, these are the only 4 P's you need. So how does it work? Okay. Now, the read method is something that's very close to my heart because a lot of questions I get are, how do you use order flow? How do you read order flow? What platform do you use? Does it work on GC? Does it work on NQ? Does it work in New York session? Does it work in PM session? Now, let me ask you a question right now, and I'm going to actually make this interactive. This bit I want to make interactive because this bit is very close to me. When you trade, I want all of you to answer this question. When you trade, there's only one of 2 buttons you can press. There's only one of 2 buttons. All of you, can you type in the chat what those buttons are? There's only one of 2 buttons you can press when you enter a trade. There's only 2 buttons. What are those 2 buttons? Everyone should chip into this question. So Howard has started. I'm not sure if I can't reveal the answer until more people have said it. Howard says, I mean, you can all read Howard's answers, but what do people think? Right? So when you trade, there's only one of 2 buttons you can press. B versus S. I'm going to assume that's buyers versus sellers aside. Howard says buy or sell. Okay, anyone else? Has anyone else got any contradictions to that? Good. I'll speed it up and say good. You're right. Both of you you're right. Thank you. So when you trade, you only want to press buy or sell, right? And so the order flow will work on any time frame for any market in any session, for any stock, any instrument, on any given day. Crypto on the weekends too. Okay, so this is why the read method was built, and the read method is the entire software or the institutional read of the institutional system behind flow state. And so what does read actually stand for? Read stands for recognize. Okay, or the R stands for recognize. You want to recognize that the chart you see behind me, so if you look at me, I'm sharing my screen, now you can see my face. The candles behind me have 2 numbers, the bid and the ask, aggressive sellers versus aggressive buyers. Then we move on to evaluate, because evaluate is you got to know what the delta is telling you. In other words, what's the relationship between buyers and sellers, right? This is a very important point. What is the relationship between buyers and sellers? Okay. Next, we have assessing the aggression. So what's going on in your key levels? Are buyers aggressive? Are sellers aggressive? And next we have detecting zeros. And I promise you, if you can detect zeros whenever you're looking for a reversal, your win rate will double. All right. I've seen people with a poor win rate, unprofitable 10%. I'm not saying any of you are like this. A 10% win rate or a 10% strike rate ends up becoming a 50, 40, 60% win rate because they detect the zeros before they enter. So in other words, when you see a 0 on the footprint chart, this massively increases the likelihood of a reversal. And so when you read the footprint charts, or when you recognize, evaluate, assess, and detect, you become a much more dangerous, destructive, and well-rounded well-rounded trader. And so as the image illustrates here, this is what brings the light to your trading. So I'm going to talk through a monster short that took place on the 2nd of July. So this is today, earlier on. I didn't expect the markets, I only took about 1 hour from this. I didn't expect the markets to melt before the holidays. I understand in the US you have a bank holiday. To me, it feels like every month, because in the UK we don't get as many bank holidays. So in the US you have a lot of bank holidays. Anyway, yeah, I think you've got one this weekend. It's the 4th of July, big day. Anyway, before you all go on holiday, I want you to understand why the market sold off. Because what happened is FlowState predicted the levels, as you can see with the little green icons here. FlowState knew what was going on inside those levels, and FlowState was then able to tell you to execute. So essentially, it told you to go long or short from this level here. And this level came from the 16th of June. And now we're the 2nd of July. So how does FlowState do that? FlowState will identify a FVG, or a price imbalance. It will tell you on the 16th of June at 6 p.m. Eastern at this time over here, 75.78. So 75.78, 75.78 here, what was going on. Hopefully you can all see what was going on here, right? So I don't want to give too much of a technical dive into what footprint charts mean, right? But this is what FlowState was showing you. FlowState showed you this. Okay, FlowState showed you this, and it's showing you between 75.78 and 75.88 or 85. It's showing you breaks to the downside with a lot of positive delta. Now look at this candle here, right? It's a green candle with a huge amount of sellers, right? You wouldn't think a green candle has sellers, right? Or you wouldn't think a red candle has buyers. When you can differentiate the color of a candle from orders which are actually happening inside of key levels, you become an upgraded, dangerous, and profitable long-term trader, because you're no longer interested in what candles look like. You know, the bodies, the wicks, the colors, the hammers, the dojis, the shooting stars, or whatever it's called. You want to identify levels and understand price action inside of levels. I don't care what candles look like, right? Or you shouldn't care what candles look like. You should only care about answering one question: who is in control of price inside my key levels? Okay, who is in control? Okay, and that's exactly what FlowState will tell you. It will tell you where to look for a trade, what to look for, and most importantly, why to look for it. Okay, so if that sounds somewhat interesting, type yes in the chat. Just type yes in the chat if you find the read engine or the read method interesting. Just type yes. And if you don't, feel free to type no. You know, I don't mind. Feel free to type no if you want. Some people say definitely yes. Really good. I appreciate everyone who's saying yes. And I would appreciate anyone who honestly says no. You know, I absolutely do not mind. I'm here for feedback, right? What do people think? Are people interested in this sort of, you know, in this sort of thing? Does this make sense to everyone? Does this make sense? Just seeing, okay, right? Just seeing how does everyone feel? Okay. Yes, but confusing. Okay. Hopefully I'm going to try and make that a lot clearer for people, right? Now, the logic is fairly simple. You got buyers and sellers. You know, you've got aggressive buyers, you got aggressive sellers, you got passive buyers, passive sellers. So any confusion you have, I have an offer for everyone. You know, I'm being honest, I've got an offer. And it's essentially the read engine, okay? The read engine unlock, okay? So this is something I'm offering for the next 48 hours. I was thinking of 24 hours. I'm offering it for the next 48 hours. And this is the read engine unlock. So who is this for? This is for anyone who trades a prop firm or a personal account looking to scale both their personal or pass evaluations or tests or prop firms, I think they call them now, or evaluation sim accounts. You want to use the read engine unlock to help you move closer to that goal. And so this is what I'm offering you today, right? You get 2 one-to-one recorded sessions with one of my private mentorship students. You get 2 one-to-one recorded sessions, right? So the value of that, each session I charge $250. So the value of that would be $500. However, for today's presentation and one of the launching webinars for FlowState, I am giving these 2 sessions completely complimentary. Okay. The next thing is the Premium Footprint Execution Process Mastery Vault, right? So this is roughly 16 hours of content, all of my checklists, and all of the guides you need to set up an order flow platform, to start reading the order flow, and then executing your trades with the order flow. Now, once again, this, if you were to invest individually, would be $1,000, right? This is 250 lots of 4, so there's four processes. There's positioning, price, proof, and precision. If you were to invest individually, that would be $1,000. But for today's presentation, over the next 48 hours, that comes completely complimentary. Next, you have 3 months in school. And so in school, I use myself as well as FlowState to identify levels between 9 and 9:30 Eastern, pretty similar to what we did over here, right? So this is what school does. We identify levels and then we execute at those levels. And we do this live in a documentary style manner where you can see exactly what's going on with the read process. Okay. And so the 3 months of school at $99 per month is valued at $300. Okay. Now, you'll be pleased to know that in this particular webinar for the next 48 hours, I'm opening the 3 months of school completely for free. Next, we have the 100K breakout protocol. So you want to use order flow in a breakout fashion, right? Because you can either take breakouts to the upside or downside. And so the 100K breakout protocol is specifically designed for you to catch 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 risk reward trades with a 60% more win rate using order flow, and more specifically the read engine unlock. And so at $400, that in today's presentation is valued completely for free. Next, we have the $1,000 a day blueprint, which is about taking your $100,000 prop account, let's say, or, risking, let's say 1% or 2% or 3% on 30K or 50K if you have personal savings in an account, or a lot of you here are trading prop. $1,000 a day. Think of it this way. Let's say you have a $300,000 account. That's only going to be 0.3%, right? You can make 0.3% per day, or you can make 1% a day, accounting for losses. It works out to be $1,000 per day. And this is my scorecards and my checklist that I use to get to $500 to $1,000 per day in the $1,000 a day blueprint. And so valued at $400, usually if you were to invest individually, that guide and those systems come completely complimentary. So far you've been investing 1.5, 1.8, 2.2, 2.6. So right now you've got 2.6K worth of value, but you've not invested $1 or a cent, or as we say in the UK, a penny. Okay. Next, you get a one-to-one clarity call, because things may seem confusing. Where do I start? It's a bit overwhelming. In fact, no, I'm recording this, so you'll be able to see the recording. I'm going to give 2 one-to-one sessions or clarity calls to help you go through the recordings, go through the Premium Footprint Execution Mastery Vault, which you get for life, by the way, 3 months of school access, the 100K and the $1,000 a day blueprints with 2 clarity calls to set you up today for using order flow. Okay, those clarity calls, or each clarity call, I normally charge $249 or $250. All right, those are 2 clarity calls. That's going to be $500 worth of value for you today. Okay, now I'm not going to charge you with the $500 it's worth. I'm going to give it to you completely complimentary. Okay, and now we have the big boy, which is lifetime access to FlowState and lifetime access to all the systems that I use within school. Okay, you will get lifetime access to FlowState and lifetime access to the Platform Vault, and therefore lifetime access to the positioning, price, proof, and precision entry systems. Okay, now with the time and effort me and my developers have spent building FlowState, we have valued at $4,000. However, today, you'll be pleased to know that the only investment you're going to need for the lifetime access to FlowState, 2 one-to-one recorded sessions, the entire process vault, 3 months of school, the 100K breakout protocol, the $1,000 a day protocol, 2 one-to-one clarity calls, and lifetime access to my system, all of this, which will come out to be about $6,800 worth of value, I'm offering to you all today for over the next 48 hours for a meager $339. Okay, so 6.8K over the next, you could ignore the 24 hours. I'm going to extend it to 48 hours. All of you can access everything you see on the screen for $339. Okay? $339. That is my offer to you for the next 24 or ideally 48 hours. Okay? That is my offer. Okay? That is my offer to everyone today. Now, that's not the end of the presentation. Please don't run away. You don't have to do this if you don't want. This is my offer. So if anyone feels confused or they want a little bit of support in getting flow state or mastering the processes and getting to the next level, this is my offer to you. Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple of links so you can ignore the first link. It's mainly the second link, which I'm going to pin. All right. So for those who are interested, $339 for the next 48 hours. This is what I'm offering. 6.8K worth of value for $339 over the next couple of days. All right. This is my 4th of July treat to all the Americans, if you want. Right. So that's something which I want you to bear in mind if you're interested in. Okay. So to quickly go over, because I get lots of questions about how this works. In fact, I'm going to come back to it later on in the presentation. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on. Asha said, I'd like to know what's included in the school community. So school community essentially is at the moment, I'm testing Flow State, although Flow State is pretty much active to use. What happens in Flow State, you get the platform vault. You get commentary of what's going on live, pre-market plans. You get all my executions, so wins, losses, why I entered, why I exited. Think of it as an order. So we call it at Price Action Labs. What I've called it is the order flow lab. So when you enter the lab, you want to follow a set of instructions, almost like a scientist, to get the results you want. And if you don't follow the instructions, you're gonna get blown up. So what's in school? You get my order flow trainings. You get live access to my pre-market plans, my executions. You get access to how I'm looking at markets for the day using volume and price and time. There's also a community of like-minded traders who are also on the same mission as everyone here, mastering order flow. If you want to get funded, there's the funded routes. If you want to scale your own personal account, we got someone like James Brown, for example, who's doing that. So there's it is a community of like-minded traders who want to master order flow, put it that way. Get funded, go full-time, and the rest of it. And I'm going to answer more questions on the bonus later on. But this is the bonus, right? So one-to-one recordings with my students, right? One-to-one session recordings, right? So with their permission, one-to-one sessions are the main sort of bread and butter, right? So Aaron has said, break down some of your trades and show me the software once, please. Okay, yeah, we can do that as well. So I kind of did that a little bit earlier on over here. So I will do that for Aaron as he's interested. So what Blink says 397 instead of 339. Okay, it shouldn't say that. Thank you very much for doing that. So okay, that's an issue. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to quickly just amend that, and I shouldn't have to amend that because it shouldn't be something that you do. So I just need to admit one guest. Who is that? Oh, okay, sorry about that. Just had one guest that's coming in. So what I would say is during this part of the presentation, please do. Oh look, someone has joined the presentation. So someone has joined the presentation pretty much at the right time. So this is essentially my right-hand man and my assistant, Ferdinand. Hope you're well. Just react if you can speak to me. This is sort of behind the scenes. We're making
for sure.
We're making it personal now. So Ferdinand, the link for 339, it says 397. So could you please amend that link and fix it immediately for me, please? If you could just do that for me, that would be grateful. I don't want to spend too much time on this slide. I just want to, so what's going to happen is ignore the links which I've sent previously for 397. It's 339 for the next 48 hours, okay? So for the next 48 hours, it's going to be 339, not 397. It was 397 last week. I think that's where the mistake has come. So Ferdinand, if you could do that as soon as you possibly could, I would appreciate that highly, okay? I would really appreciate that highly. Is anyone else looking to join the presentation? No. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue whilst Ferdinand goes and does the link. Okay, so I've had questions on this, right? In fact, I'm going to go back and answer one of the questions I had from the students, from the webinar attendees, right? Which was this. So this was a trade, for example, from today that I took, right? So this was a trade that I took in school. For those who are in school, you'll be able to see I made an entire breakdown of. In fact, you know what? Let's hold nothing back. Let's actually go over to school and do this. So here's flow state. This is how flow state works. I'm just going to go to school and have a look at this as well. So here's how flow state works. So what flow state will do is flow state will help you master your key levels. Okay, flow state will help you master your key levels. Okay, that's all that flow state's going to do. And here we have school. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in and show you how I did this. Okay, so what did we have? So again, this is a little bit private. So some people in here will know how I normally do this. But here's my pre-market game plans for today. It says 1 day ago because I'm several hours ahead of UK time. Ferdinand, thank you so much. You are an absolute star. You should have got this right the first time, but it's okay. I forgive you. So if anyone who's interested, I'm going to go back and present the offer again. But Ferdinand has updated the link. So what I'm going to do is I am going to copy the link and I'm just going to put it here. So anyone who's interested in working with me, but I'm going to just pin the link and I'm going to go back. I'm going to go through the offer again. Okay. But this is how things panned out today. So this is pre-market. Now, flow state gave me this level, and this level. My job is to wait for those levels and understand how they formed, understand the order flow inside them, and execute long or short. That's basically how it works. Okay. And so what we had was we had volume, we had some volume analysis, we had some, previous week analysis. And essentially what was going on was this, right? This was what was going on. The level was cooking, right? So what I say at Price Action Lab is when the level is cooking, this means that we could see a long or a short from this level. Okay. Now this was taken at roughly whatever time it was, 10 o'clock, I think it was 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay. Now, here's where things got interesting. Short slapped at the right level. Only 1 hour. I kind of got out early and this trade absolutely melted. ES and NQ absolutely melted. I don't want you to look at the result or anything like that. I want you to focus specifically on what flow state told me to do, because flow state gave me these levels, right? Flow state told me why this was a level, right? From key level 1 to key level 2. And most importantly, flow state told you the same thing, because we all have access to this data behind me here. We saw the buyers and sellers giving us an interaction, right? It is your moral obligation and your financial obligation as a trader to understand this data. I'll say that again. It is your moral, financial, and even psychological. It's imperative that you understand this moving forward, right? It is my obligation to get this into your heads. It is very important. And so to answer the gentleman's question, or whoever asked that question, thank you very much for bringing it through. It is essentially me and Flow State together giving you a thorough education, breakdown, and mental competence lesson per day on how to choose the right levels. So this was obviously a level masterclass, right? I get very passionate when I speak about levels, when I speak about order flow. This is my passion. I get very passionate about this. So I'm going to quickly do a breakdown. But this level came from the 16th of June. It was responsible for FOMC sell-off. It was responsible for last week's high. It was also responsible for this week's high. So when you have last week's high, previous day low, and FOMC sell-off, what Flow State is telling you, if you look at the way Flow State works, Flow State is telling you, when we go over to the read analysis, right? If we go over to the read analysis, what Flow State is now telling you is this, right? If it's gonna show today, but if it doesn't, it's absolutely fine. There you go. Right, what Flow State is telling you is where the levels are, how to find them, and most importantly, why are they levels, right? Why are they levels? Because I want you to move away from drawing your own levels, guessing, gambling, and I want you to read and react to what the market is telling you to do. And this is what Flow State does, and this is what I do in school, right? This is literally how it works, okay? Hopefully that answers your questions as thoroughly as I could. I hope that really helps you and you get it, you sort of understand it, right? And so this is where I want to sort of continue on the presentation. Okay, we've got about maybe 10 or 15 minutes left, right? So I hope all of you can stick around and stay, because it's going to get interesting now. So once again, I'm going to talk about the offer at the end and how I'm going to present it to you all. But the Bolt breakout blueprint is essentially the execution criteria. So all of you are going to pretend like you're maybe 10 years old and you're playing with a spring. Okay, imagine this is a demand zone or a support or an area you want to buy from. Okay, how the markets work is it works on what I call a break and retest model. Okay, so you think of it this way: when the markets retest a level to go long, the markets are pushing down on that level. The spring is being compressed, but the spring will not give in. Or in other words, the spring will absorb the selling and it will push the price back up. This is what we call absorption selling, and this is why buyers win. This is how markets move up. And you can flip this example 180 on its head, and this is how markets move down. The spring analogy is how I want you to approach the markets, and the Flow State OS app supports you in the process. Okay? So here's what a couple of people have had to say about Flow State, or just naturally the premium footprint execution process as a whole. Okay, so we had Luca. He's got now his second funded account. So I think he had a 50k and 100k or something, maybe two 50k accounts. He said, thanks, Sandeep. Thanks for everything you've taught me. You showed me the path to freedom. We had Rid from Australia saying, well, of course, my charts maybe on the first session will be better than his. That's not because I'm his mentor. It's just because he's learning a new system, right? Thank you so much. You are really amazing. Your patience and levels teach me when you have silly doubts. And that's exactly what I'm looking to eliminate, right? Silly doubts and the path to freedom. So removing silly doubts gives you the path to freedom. Okay. So again, we had the guy called Nazim Raham. He said, guys, listen to Sandy. He's an utter professional. He'll take you places. Just a bit of working with him has got me brilliant results. Thanks a million. Best trading guru. I don't like the word guru, but thank you very much. Whoever said this, I think he might be in the crowd. I got so much clarity from you doing this now. I struggled a lot. So much confusion due to, I don't know what the number is, maybe 1 million YouTube videos, but you're the one showing me the right path, right? Okay, what else do we have? We have Sandy, thank you always, gentleman, scholar, legend. Your classes make a hell of a lot of difference. Absolutely brilliant with the time, hope to do the analysis independently. That's a very important point. Flow State will help you, but it will not trade for you. So understanding the analysis and doing it independently will give you a massive edge. Okay. I would sincerely thank you for taking the time out to teach me trading and share your invaluable knowledge and experience. Your guidance, patience, and support have helped me to understand markets with greater confidence and discipline. It's crazy, man. Okay, so this is not for me to show off or anything, but this is just to show that we've had we had people going through the systems, and they've turned people around, and they've definitely shone the light bulb on something that was otherwise dark. And that's what the Read engine will unlock for you. So here's a couple of things I want to finish the presentation off with this, right? We've been talking now for about an hour. I need 10 more minutes of your attention because I want to just explain a couple of P's to you. All right, this is not the positioning, price, booth, and precision. These are the P's of the first one being P of paralysis. So I have a system right now. I think order flow can help me, but I'm just not sure. So early on in the presentation, I asked all of you a question and all of you answered correctly. When you trade your current system, you still only have one of two buttons to press, which is the buy button and the sell button. So I think order flow can help, but I'm just not sure. Well, if you know for a fact that you're trading buyers and sellers, and buyers and sellers, of course, are what candles are made of, because you can see that behind me, then that should be enough to push you over the line and think, okay, so the system I have, or the system I'm struggling to get full time with, can and will be enhanced with order flow. So you don't need to have paralysis over your decision. Aaron has said, I'm trading GC long time, very profitable. Can I use flow state concepts in my key levels, winning percentage increase and boost confidence to take while executing orders? Absolutely you can. Because flow state takes your levels and it tells you why they're levels and if they're levels and why if they're levels or if they're not levels. Okay? And it's the read process and this institutional software and the systems behind it that will elevate your game. So you don't need to have paralysis about whether order flow will work, because order flow is already the reason why your trades take off. Right, so if you take a buy trade, it's because you read the order flow correctly without knowing you did. Think of it that way. If you have any paralysis. Next is the procrastinator. I need to think about whether order flow will work for me and my strategy. Well, let me tell you something about a strategy. I don't really believe in strategies because the markets move up and down due to economic theory, supply and demand. Okay, if there's more supply or if there's an oversupply, then a stock, instrument, or any financial asset class will go down. That applies to houses, gold, Bitcoin, even GC, ES, NQ. If demand outstrips supply, prices will rise. And this is how markets work, not just financial markets, but markets as a whole. This is how markets work. Markets work off supply and demand. Supply and demand needs a buyer and a seller. In the markets, order flow or footprint charts determine the buyers and sellers. So based off that, I don't want you to procrastinate about thinking about order flow. You either will or you won't. You either understand this and accept this or you want to try without. Don't be in the middle. Don't procrastinate, right? Order flow works because it's behind every candle you've ever stared at. Okay. Now, the final thing is perfectionist. If order flow works so well, why do people lose with order flow? This is such a classic question. Now, first of all, order flow gives you a 100% correct read on price action. However, it does not give you a 100% read on what's going to happen next in a particular session. Let me explain that. If you're going to go through CHOP, or there's going to be a random external news event, right? FOMC, a Trump tweet, or, holidays coming up, right? These are areas of unpredictable volatility, meaning it's not that order flow is wrong. Order flow will not always predict your sessions for you. It will only give you the correct read of price in the now. Okay. But you cannot always predict the future, even if you know what's going on now. So hopefully that gives you another framework to think about it. So do not be any of these three things, right? Do not be in paralysis, do not procrastinate, and do not be a perfectionist. Order flow will not give you perfect results, but it will definitely, for sure, push you in that direction. Okay? And on that note, I just want to come once again at the offer for today. And I'm going to really break this down so people can understand exactly what I mean. All right? So I'm going to try and go through people's questions as well. Okay? So I pinned it in the chat once again. So you get 2 one-to-one sessions with students, right? So I normally do each session at $250 if you were to buy separately. I can send you 2 one-to-one sessions on any topic you want completely for free, right? I will then send you the premium footprint execution process, the recordings, about 16 hours, and all my checklist completely at $1,000 completely for free. 3 months in school, you get live access to order flow. You get the pre-market game plans. You also get my one-to-one support and some group coaching, right? Typically at $99 per month, valued at $300. That comes completely for free. Next, you have the 100K and the $1,000 a day, 100K breakout protocol and the $1,000 a day trading blueprint. Valued at $400 each respectively. You get them for free. And then you get your one-to-one clarity call. Actually, no, I bumped that up to 2, didn't I? You get 2 one-to-one sessions. Each session is up to 90 minutes. Again, at $500, so $250 each, completely for free. And you get lifetime access to Flow State with my support in setting it up in the school, in the one-to-one sessions, and through private school DM. Okay? All of this value for 6.8K, I'm offering for a meager $339. Yeah, that's it. So I just want to answer some questions. So why doesn't Flow State OS significantly, here's a question. Why doesn't Flow State OS significantly signify the optimal buy level when the number of contracts at the bid and the ask, and signify the optimal sell level when the number of contracts at the ask is 0, as opposed to waiting until the trade moves further in your direction, which will probably result in lower potential profit due to. Okay, good question. So essentially what Flow State will do is it gives you a pre-market plan, because you have to understand one thing. We as traders do not draw levels. We predict levels and we let the market confirm that they're levels. And so what order flow is a master of doing through the read engine, right? This is what you're unlocking here on the screen. The read engine tells you where the buyers and sellers are sitting, because you shouldn't be trading at levels that you want to trade from. You're only supposed to trade at levels that the market has created. The market has created. And the only way you can see what the market has done is by reading the order flow. And that's what flow state does. So Howard, I'm just trying to understand your question before I give you a comprehensive and cohesive answer. Optimal. So why doesn't flow state OS signify the optimal buy level when the number of contracts at the bid hits 0, and signify the optimal sell when the number of contracts they ask hits 0, as opposed to waiting until the trade moves? So so flow state doesn't give you trades as they're moving in your direction. You've misunderstood it there. Flow state gives you levels to trade from. It's your job to read the order flow and then trade them. Basically, hopefully that answers your question. Ash Trade says, what's after 3 months school if I want to continue? So if you want to continue, then it's just $99 per month, and everything else on the screen you will still keep completely for free for life and completely complimentary if you wish to continue on with school. Okay? But everything today for the next 48 hours is $339. Lifetime flow state access, 2 one-to-one sessions, $1,000 a day blueprint, 100K breakout protocol, 3 months in school, the entire training for the premium Footprint execution process, and 2 one-to-one recorded sessions with my students on any topic you want within the program, all come for the next 48 hours, $339. And on that note, I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to stick around